Charlton's joy, though, was to be short-lived. 5 minutes into the second half came a bizarre Kenny Wharton, and his cross is converted by Darren Jackson. 4 minutes later, Newcastle took the lead. Mirandina's perfect pass setting up substitute Brian Tinnion. The Brazilian skill acknowledged by his travelling fan club, and Newcastle looked set for victory. But a fighting finish from Charlton. A quick set of head tennis was ended by Robert Lee's fierce shot. Score, Charlton 2, Newcastle 2. His younger brigade were rewarded for their enthusiasm. Kingsley Black's shot pushed out. Oldfield with a very smart follow-up. And the roles reversed for the second goal 10 minutes later. With Black rounding Southall with the confidence of a veteran. The only consolation for Everton was that their rivals Liverpool were not expected to do well at Southampton with an injury. Beardsley wriggled between Statham and Moore to give John Aldridge a simple tap-in. Perfect answer from Aldridge, who was keeping Ian Rush on the substitutes bench. But Liverpool's lead lasted just 2 minutes. As Southampton attacked, a moment of clumsiness from Gillespie, who crashed into Paul Rideout. Essex referee Danny Vickers awarded the penalty, waving aside the Merseyside protests. Fullback Derek Statham made no mistake, sending standing Hooper the wrong way. Time 1-1 and the game nicely balanced. 90 seconds after the restart, though, a splendid solo goal from Beardsley. After picking up Gary Adlet's long ball, Beardsley surged through the Saints' defence to score despite Statham's despairing lunge. Burridge thought the latter, but a penalty it was. And Danish international Jan Molby did the rest. So the message to the rest of Division 1 is clear. Kenny Dalglish's side are not yet ready to give up their championship. Final score, Southampton 1, Liverpool lucky. The goal for Kevin Gage with 22 minutes played. Pink did well to parry from Gary Crosby. The ball ran invitingly for Franz Carr. Gary Hamilton's near post corner was headed in by Bernie Slaven. Paul Allen's clever pass into the area is picked up by Paul Walsh. Chris Waddles shoots home for his third goal of the season. Time and it's one apiece. But more setbacks awaited Terry Venable's men. Just 5 minutes into the second half, Tottenham were penalised. As the Spurs defensive wall gathered, Hamilton curved his free kick beyond the Tottenham defence, and there was Tony Mowbray to sweep the ball home. Touch from Allen's pass, teenage sub David Howells headed Spurs level. 5 minutes left and it's now 2 apiece. There was more excitement to come. Deep into injury time as Spurs threw everything forward, the speed of the young replacement Paul Moran caught out Borough's defence. Gary Pallister brought him down. Referee Martin awarded the penalty. Terry Fenwick, a cool head in a crisis, steps up to blast the ball home. So an amazing recovery from Spurs, and the final score, Tottenham 3.
First Division this week, and we shall have more for you next week. In the meantime, I dare say you won't see a better goal than the one by Peter Davenport, his first for Manchester United against West Ham. And now from us all, goodbye. Brian Robson, Peter Davenport, to McClare, to Davenport! A brilliant goal!
Down the left, confusion in the West Ham defence, and a tremendous left-foot shot from Alan Smith. Smith maintaining his goal-a-game record. And just a couple of minutes later, more problems for the Hammers. Smith very much in the thick of the action, winning a corner this time. And from the set piece, West Ham failed to clear. Smith the quickest to react with a skillful flick. Arsenal 2 up in the game less than 20 minutes old, but this was to be a real cut and thrust London derby. The game came to the boil on the half hour as West Ham hit back. The cross from Ward, the finish from Alan Dickens. They carved their way through the Hammers' defence, and this time there was no mistake. The defender finds Rocastle with a superb ball, and the England man does the rest. Final score, West Ham 1, Arsenal.
Wednesday. Berardi didn't score, but David Hirst did. Aston Villa, without their in-form injured striker Alan McInally, a goal down at half-time.
And his long free kick headed on by John Fashanu. Wimbledon's first goal, a painful experience for the big striker and for Everton keeper Neville Southall. After 32 minutes, another typical Wimbledon long ball, and Alan Cork makes it 2-0. Wimbledon started the game for some good work by number 11 Sheedy, and Adrian Heath is the scorer.
A home win, particularly when Gary Gillespie headed in a third-minute corner. An early goal is the last thing a visiting team wants to lose at Anfield. And ran on to score, making the most of Michael O'Neill's clever pass. Newcastle's manager Willie McFall was celebrating a birthday. Mirandinha gave him the perfect present. Liverpool beaten at home for the first time in the league for 18 months. The last team to win here, Wimbledon. The goalkeeper, you've guessed it, Dave Beasant. The old left winger Dave Smith played a prominent part, teasing Gary Parkinson and floating the cross for David Speedy, 1-0 Coventry after 6 minutes. Within a minute, Middlesbrough had bounced back, Bernie Slaven taking his left-footed strike quickly and very successfully. Early goal, Slaven slotting in his second, with Coventry wondering about offside. At 27, Bernie Slaven is a senior citizen in Bruce Riott's young team, but he sets a superb example. An outstanding first-half hat-trick here, the third another technically excellent finish, 3-1 to Middlesbrough. Second half, Mark Burke the beneficiary in the middle, and Middlesbrough at 4-1, home and dry, or so it seemed. The hour, Dave Smith took a hand again, making this magical run. Past Parkinson, and then Kerr. Another tantalising centre, turned in by Speedy for his and Coventry's second. They trail 4-2 now. This game of goals had taken another twist. Smith in punctured Borough's defending for a third time, 18 minutes from the end. A hat-trick for Speedy to match Slaven's first half strike power, but Coventry couldn't lead against Charlton. Andy Linnigan was
scorer. That was their 5th corner, and the East Anglians look set to continue their fine start to the season. From Bennett and Paul Williams makes it 1-1. Second half, it's Charlton on the attack, and a splendid solo effort from Paul Mortimer. Full credit to Mortimer, but the Norwich defence looks paper thin. Half an hour left, and Charlton leading 2-1. 6 minutes later, the decisive third goal. Again, the Norwich defence at fault as they fail to clear the danger. Bennett again involved, and Leeburn's shot comes off the woodwork. Williams follows up. His second, Charlton's third, and perhaps it won't be quite so easy for Norwich after all. Final Solop's well-flighted free kick, and the header from Tony Cascarino. 12 minutes gone, and it's Millwall 1, Rangers 0. Millwall continue to dominate, another set piece, but O'Callaghan wide this time. But gradually Rangers began to settle as their midfield took a grip, and Trevor Francis illustrated the value of his experience with a clinically taken goal. Should have been the cue for Rangers to put pressure on the First Division new boys. Instead, they paid the penalty for trying to slow the game down. A dreadful back pass is intercepted by Hurlock, and he unselfishly hands Cascarino a simple goal. Later, Rangers were again guilty of being caught in possession, but Hurlock this time finished what he'd started with a spectacular 25-yard shot. Millwall then finding plenty to celebrate about in the First Division, but even leading 3-1, they didn't quite have it all their own way. More pressure and a great chip by Teddy Sheringham. Cascarino thought he'd got a hat-trick. But it's no goal. Offside the verdict. Referee and linesman in complete agreement. The cross was well converted by Martin Allen. Allen writes it.
Good timing too for his England prospects.
But Nigel Clough, perhaps with that in mind, made sure that Forest took the lead. Having conceded the penalty, Maddox did his best to help regain the lost ground, forcing a corner here off, it looked like, the arm of Stuart Pearce. But that corner was put to good use by Kevin Brock, and Mark Steen headed the equaliser. Steen was on as a substitute. That was another unhappy event for Rangers. Mark Dennis had dislocation 3 minutes from time. It was Colin Foster who had a crack at goal. It was deflected. That's the way things are going for Queen's Park Rangers at the moment. But Brian
scoring his first goal in 2 years at Charlton to give them the lead after 14 minutes. Stewart had missed a penalty last week, so he handed over the responsibility this time to Terry Fenwick. 1-1 after 55 minutes. But 10 minutes later, Charlton were back in front. Robbie Mims' throw-out left Paul Gascoigne totally exposed, and substitute Andy Jones took full advantage. 2-1 then to Charlton, but with just 12 minutes to go, Tottenham continued their recent habit of scoring late goals. Waddle's pass found Paul Walsh, and Paul Allen was in the right place to equalise.
The near post. The ball turned in by defender John Scales. break at home again for Aston Villa.
Half and simply kept going. Arriving at the other end in time to steer in Bernie Slaven's pass. Alistair's first goal of the season, and this on the day he was presented with his first international cap.
But only papered over the cracks, it seemed. Cyril Regis sending Coventry on their way to a 3-goal win. All 3 goals in the first half. The Coventry manager, John Sillett, has a very settled side at the moment, but certainly the cohesion was too much for Newcastle. David Speedie popping in his 5th goal of the season. Newcastle's first half performance was very distressing for manager Willie McFall, who was the butt of the crowd's discontent. Mickey Ginn collected Coventry's 3rd a minute before half-time, and Newcastle's only win of the season remains, remarkably, a way to
be particularly proud. A positive run here by Trevor Putney down the Norwich left, and then it's all very untidy at the back for Derby. The ball rolling in off Wright's leg. Will be even less abused by Wright's involvement.
They're undefeated in their 5 previous matches. But a goal down after 13 minutes, the chance falling to John Kelly and dispatched with the aid of a sharp turn. Oldham so comfortable on their own synthetic pitch, where they're unbeaten this season. Their attacking powerhouse is the former Luton and Hull striker Frankie Bunn. Bunn on target for the 4th consecutive league game, his 8th goal of the season. Oldham 2 up a minute before half-time. There's no doubt about their ability to score. What is alarming for manager Joe Royle is the way his defence is conceding goals, and Stoke exploited those familiar failings in the second half. This is a terrible mix-up. Oldham caught out at the back. It leads to Chris Kamara pulling a goal back for Stoke. It's 2-1 now after 57 minutes. It stayed that way until 5 minutes from time, when Oldham fans were left cursing one of their old heroes. In the late 70s, Boundary Park was a stop along the winding path of Simon Stainrod's career. Stoke now his 6th club, and this late equaliser, a goal he really savoured. Oldham 2, Stoke 2. Our next stop is Ewood Park. Blackburn Rovers, founder members of the Football League, against Crystal Palace. Both missed out on promotion last season. Both had the quality to take them into a challenging position this time around. Blackburn have made the better start to the season, and they made the better start to what was an extraordinary match. Howard Gale, once of Liverpool, fastening onto the throw, striding through a rather static defence and sending Blackburn in front after 3 minutes. Steve Coppell, the Palace manager, has pieced together a promising side despite only 2 wins in their opening 8 second division games. They're direct and purposeful with a liberal sprinkling of quality, like midfielder Jeff Thomas, whose equaliser midway through the first half was typical of his work. Indeed, Thomas's goal gave Crystal Palace just the impetus they were looking for. 1-1 at half-time, hardly a prelude to the drama to come. But Blackburn suddenly finding the match slipping away. Ian Wright, it's 2-1, and that was after 47 minutes. Ten minutes later, Thomas at the hub of a Palace attack, which forces David Mail to concede a corner. From the corner, the ball comes off number 9, Blackburn's Andy Kennedy, and was headed in by another, Palace's Mark Bright. And now they lead 3-1. At this stage, Blackburn in need of some inspiration or some good fortune. And even their own players admitted after the game that it was the latter at a crucial stage. Referee Joe Timmons awarding a penalty, with Scott Sellers running into Gary O'Reilly. The challenge was made off balance, But the replay, which of course the referee didn't have the advantage of seeing, shows that O'Reilly did play the ball. Gale opted for placement rather than power from the penalty and collected his and Blackburn's second. 3-2 now. You can sense the urgency. Still 24 minutes to go. Still more twist to the plot. I mean, not to lose any ground against potential promotion rivals in this match. Garner struck twice in 2 minutes. His first tucked away unfussily. That's his style. 3-3 now. Instead, it's Hendry heading down. Garner's sweet, sweeping finish. A comeback that would have finished lesser sides than Crystal Palace. Blackburn leading 4-3. It's level again. Blackburn 4, Crystal Palace 4. Now we're into the last minute, and still no one is settling for the draw, particularly Hendry, who's taken up permanent residence in Palace's half. John Miller coming forward. A touch from Hendry. And he's still looking for the chance, and he gets it and takes it. A 9-goal thriller, an extravagant
Cook's pass. Scarborough 1 up, Norris with his 7th goal of the season. Portsmouth found style too, did at last score a second. Alan Knight kept Norris out, but how's this chip for coolness from Mitch Cook? Not exactly camera shy, is he? But then why shouldn't he celebrate such a splendidly executed goal? Didn't do much for poor old Alan Ball, watching from the Portsmouth bench. But with just 5 minutes remaining, his team, who only a few months ago, remember, were in the First Division, suddenly threatened a dramatic revival. Martin Poole's cross and a free header for Warren Aspinall looked set to ensure an enthralling finale. But this was Scarborough's night, and in injury time the suspense was over. Tommy Graham heading in a corner from Cook. 3-1 to Scarborough, 5-3 overall, and deservedly so, and how the players and their supporters, nearly 4,000 of them, relish the moment.
Hughes gave the 4th Division club pride of place. It knocked out 1st Division Middlesbrough. Tranmere now at home to Blackpool, who also saw off 1st Division opposition. Managerless Sheffield Wednesday, 2 days after Howard Wilkinson's departure. Wednesday beaten on the away goals rule, and that was the goal that did it, thumped in by 20-year-old Steve Morgan. Ecstatic at the final whistle, the Blackpool manager Sam Ellis, a former teammate of his rival manager on Wednesday night, Peter Eustace, who's in temporary charge at Hillsborough. No slips for the former Wednesday boss, Howard Wilkinson. His new club, Leeds United, 5-2 aggregate winners over Peterborough. Vince Hilaire's goal, the pick of the 3 scored in front of the new manager. Leeds now meet the holders Luton in the 3rd round. Newcastle United, who sacked Willie McFall on Monday, saw John Hendry's first half goal make inroads into a 3-goal deficit against Sheffield United. Mirandinha added another in the second half, but Dave Bassett's rebuilt Sheffield United hung on to give Division 3 another representative in the 3rd round. They're away to freewheeling Manchester City, who blasted Plymouth 7-3 on aggregate. Paul Molden, grabbing the 3rd of 6, scored at Home Park. Nigel Gleghorn wrapped up an astonishing City finale, his 2nd on the night, Manchester City's 6th. The highlight of Liverpool's 3-1 win at Walsall, at last, a first goal for Ian Rush.
McDonald, good header. Good play by Barnes. Rush has done it! The Liverpool fans delighted. A great smile on the face of that supreme goal scorer Ian Rush as he breaks his duck at last.
No joy, though, for a former Liverpool star, Mark Lawrenson. Carl Shutt's goal for Bristol City, contributing to Lawrenson's Oxford United's exit from the competition. Bristol City going through to meet Crystal Palace. Steve McLaren's fine effort confirming a 6-2 aggregate win. 18-year-old Tony Elliott, a graduate of the FA's National School, had a harrowing first appearance in Birmingham City's goal, beaten 5 times by Aston Villa. No chance for Elliott here, though, with Villa's last goal, a splendid solo run from Tony Daly. Villa are now at home to Millwall. Teddy Sheringham at the heart of a 3-1 second leg win at Gillingham. 6-1 on aggregate, 3 of them to Sheringham. This was Sheringham's second at Priestfield Stadium. Millwall go to Villa Park then, where they've happy recent memories. They drew 2-2 on the opening day of the season in their first ever game in Division 1.
Villa goalkeeper Nigel Spink, he won't be happy with that at all. Crossed in by Mickey Bennett, and finally it's Steve Britt that puts Charlton 1-up. Coming up now, a spell of 3 goals in 10 minutes midway through the second half. Villa bringing on the Scottish substitute Alan McAnally, and he takes full advantage of some very lax defending in the middle of the Charlton defence. Watches the balls played in all the way across the front of the home defence. A bad miss kick, and McAnally reacts quickest, hits the post, but the Scot is there for the rebound, and that's his 7th goal in 6 matches. Charlton, though, striking back just a few minutes later, and there's an excellent through ball played out here by Mortimer. Looks up and spears a ball through the middle defence. A bad miss kick by Martin Keown, and Paul Williams with a good finish, and that's his 7th goal of the season. It's 2-1 to Charlton. A jig of delight from them. It was short-lived, though, because 3 minutes later Villa made it 2-2, and once again it's that man McAnally, the substitute, he was booked as well in this game incidentally, who makes the goal. McAnally picks the ball up here. He's a strong, powerful player, goes through 2 tackles, and in the end lays on a simple tap-in for David Platt. Fine game, it ends all square, Charlton 2, Villa cross.
The seniors header down, Ince has the shot pushed aside, David Kelly right on the spot for his 2nd First Division goal. And measuring his cross for Mark Steen's excellent first-time finish. Minutes later, another Francis cross, only half cleared, straight to Maddox, who smacked in the winner. All credit to the Rangers manager, Jim, with a rare left-footer, but a very good one. That bubble was burst, though, and Hopkins there to level the scores at 1-1 after 35 minutes. The folly of Overson's retaliation really shown up now. Birmingham's 10 men conceding another goal only 85 seconds later, and again it was Hopkins on target. West Bromwich Albion now in the hands of a player caretaker manager, the former Ipswich, Arsenal and England midfield player Brian Talbot. Talbot wants the job on a permanent basis, and with Stuart Phillips making it 3-1, it looks as though the players want Talbot. He had made a late change to the side, originally selected by Ron Atkinson, bringing in Gary Robson, the younger brother of England captain Brian. Robson repaid that faith with Albion's 4th. How Birmingham must rue that sending off.
Arms full of running on that left-hand side. All the way by John Barnes. A great break there by Liverpool, and a goal that they've been threatening to score. Donald, good header. Good play by Barnes. Wash has done it. The Liverpool fans delighted. Liverpool fans behind the goal, preparing to celebrate again as Molby comes up and makes it 3-0. Now gunned by a weakened Liverpool side, but Shakespeare gives them consolation.
United a goal up from the away leg, but on a surface slicked by Manchester Rain, quickly into their stride here. Brian McClare opened the scoring after 27 minutes. He's on his way to a hat-trick. Manchester United have never won this competition, and they'll meet stiffer opposition along the way this year. Rotherham's own resources weakened by illness and injury. Pulled apart now by Lee Sharp's left wing cross. Callum O'Hanlon unable to keep out McClare's second. There was an exhibition feel about some of Manchester United's football. And before half-time, Brian Robson got on the score sheet. Still 3-0 at half-time and 2 more goals to come in the second half. Gordon Strachan presiding over this free kick. Look for Robson's header, out off the bar and from no more than a couple of inches. A simple task for Steve Bruce, who nevertheless thoroughly enjoyed the experience. It was a perfect occasion for the teenager Sharp to show his paces. He was the architect of goal number 5. A cross tailored perfectly for McClare's hat-trick. Manchester United making very comfortable progress into the third round.
Needs a penalty, and Terry Fenwick's been in good form from the spot. 5th goal of the season and his 3rd successful penalty. Spurs have been having goalkeeping problems this season with Bobby Mims. That's a poor punch from him, and it allows Adrian Thorpe to equalise. 1-1 then, and County right in the game and feeling they could create an upset. It was Gascoigne services, and it's that sort of free kick that makes him worth every penny. Spurs go through, but it was a very close thing.
Made a ferocious start, Derek Mountfield's header, and it was a harrowing night for the young goalkeeper. Unnerved now by Kevin Gage's shot, not helped by the wet surface. That was the situation again here. Another speculative Gage effort, and the ball skidding in for number 3. Villa had a debutant of their own, Ian Olney, with both Alan McInally and Gary Thompson out of the side. Olney took his chance well. He scored the 4th for Graham Taylor's team in this blistering onslaught. The rain couldn't dampen Villa's spirits. It must have added to Birmingham's depression. It certainly suited the dribbling skills of Tony Daly. This run a prelude to his real moment in the match. And sure enough, it was a Daly spectacular. This to make it 5-0 here, 7-0 on aggregate. No chance this time for Tony Elliott.
Old servant Willie McFall lost his manager's job. On the field, very little's going right. Newcastle needed that early goal against Sheffield United. It was disallowed. Newcastle trailing by 3 goals after the first leg. They pulled one back here, a neat touch from Mirandinha, and John Hendry, their expensive signing from Bradford City, put them 1 up. But Sheffield United are a good side these days. They're really flying in the 3rd division, guided by Dave Bassett, the man who did so well with Wimbledon. Newcastle get a 2nd goal with Mirandinha, the Brazilian, scoring with a typically neat flourish. 2-0 then, that's 3-2 on aggregate. And another goal would have... At Hillsborough, club coach Peter Eustace was in charge for the visit of 3rd Division Blackpool, who are defending a 2-0 lead.
Terry Holbrook of Wolverhampton is tonight's referee. The post-Howard Wilkinson era is underway at Sheffield Wednesday. A lot to do tonight. Going to mix some patience, which they must apply, with plenty of pressure. Noel Sterling, the Wednesday captain, in his programme notes tonight admitting we were rubbish in the first leg. Well, there's an early chance to try and halve the deficit here. Ferrari has done just that. Inside the first minute, Peter Eustace could not have asked for a better start. It's not a big crowd here, but those who have come already feeling their journey worthwhile, certainly those who follow Sheffield Wednesday. Baldwin coming in and climbs superbly. Terrific work by Turner. Here's Morgan. It's a fine ball. Sterling driving it low. Exeter trying to make something of it. Sterling might be able to shoot. The angle's against him, and it's put in. Who's here but Melvin Sterling? They're level. It's Hurst.
The sun is shining brightly. The rain, if anything, is heavier now. Davis, nice little ball played for Marwood. Groves is waiting in the middle. Smith's coming up fast, and is into the net there by Paul Davis. Well, they've been tough over Marwood. Davis. Thomas kept onside, played onside by Billy Goff. Michael Thomas now for Arsenal, and that's two! It's more. Cross is in there. A flying header by Clayton Blackmore, and United are back in this game.
European Championships. In the same group, East Germany in white, too strong for Iceland, Andreas Thom with both goals in a 2-0 win. Thom's second came 2 minutes from time after Iceland had a player sent off. 2-0 to East Germany, who haven't qualified for the final since they were staged in West Germany in 19 underway in Greece. Denmark a goal down at half-time, but Flemming Poulsen of Cologne equalised in the 56th minute. 1-1 the final score. Romania lead the group. They won 3-1 away to Bulgaria. And away from the World Cup, the Republic of Ireland beat Tunisia 4-0 in a friendly. 2 goals for Millwall's Tony Cascarino, but the biggest cheer reserved for Liverpool's John Aldridge.
Towards Houghton, and in towards Aldridge, and Houghton again, and Houghton for Aldridge! He's done it at last! 47 minutes and 35 seconds of the first half had elapsed, and Ray Houghton was absolutely determined that John Aldridge was going to get back.
Duncan might try one. Oh, he's not only going to try one, he's going to score with one. Looks for support on the right, finds it here in the shape of Giovanni. He's also going to try a shot from long distance. Oh, and the keeper fumbled that one badly. He seems to be able to take them on at will, Mauricinho. And again, he's got his cross in. The keeper's not sure. It's 3-0. Roberto tries to set him. Tita, he's 4. No blame attached to the goalkeeper this time. The ball is laid back once more for Dunga. By a right-footed shot. Oh, scored as well. 5-0.
Getting it nicely back from McPhail. He should be on for no Johnston! And it's in there, and they've equalised with Kadanich.
For 3 minutes, he was only in the squad because he paid his own fare back from Italy, where he plays for Lecce. So not a lucky night for the Irish. Topping England's group, Poland in white, Krzysztof Wasika with a 78th-minute goal, the decider in a tight affair against Albania. Albania, England's next World Cup opponents in Tirana.
Campaign brought a narrow 1-0 victory in a match against Switzerland, which they'd always dominated. After 30 minutes, Skiffo sent Grun clear on the right, and his cross was met by Patrick Vervoort. But despite that defeat...
From this corner from Robert Rosario. And just before half-time, Norwich increased their lead with a lovely move, one-touch football. Again, it's Gordon who creates so many problems down that right flank. A bit of hesitation, but not from Robert Fleck. 2-0. And the Scot on target with a fine effort. Well, Tottenham battled back in the second half and pulled back a goal after 57 minutes. Forward from the skipper, Fenwick. Fairclough right up in attack. Paul Allen. And Gary Stevens, playing his first game for some 11 months, is involved and continues his run. Gascoigne finds him in a good nod back, and Chris Fairclough, the centre-half, makes it 2-1. Some hope then for Spurs, but once again their weakness in the middle of their defence let them down when Norwich won a corner, and Andy Linegan, number 5, unchallenged, 3-1. Spurs sliding down the table, but no question about Norwich. They feel that...
That's a fine turn by Hodge. Now Chattel. Crosby. A lot of movement in this Forest attack. Webb and Foster joining in from the back. Stretching Millwall here. Crosby again. Chapman's flick. Here's Hodge. And it's dropped in. Hodge the scorer. And Lee Chapman certainly adding a variety to the play of Nottingham Forest. Aiming for Chapman again and finding him. Well read by Clough. And here's Hodge raiding from midfield. A chance for number 2. He's got it. And that really was a goal for the textbook. Hodge's second, with Sutton, Chapman and Clough the supporting cast. Sheringham! 12 minutes left, and Millwall not giving up their unbeaten record without a fight. Still Millwall driving forward. Ruddock heads on. Good control by Sheringham. Hurlock. Teddy Sheringham again. It's there! It's Ruddock, the substitute. Has he rescued a point right at the last?
Just under 20 minutes to go. McDonald making tracks there, and Falco turning it in for Rangers. Rangers go 1 up. Mark Falco, once of Tottenham, and Rangers in Scotland. Alan Smith turning it on, and Tony Adams, the skipper, turning it in. The England centre-half, and that's 1-all. Marwood teasing Faraday. That's a good ball in, and that's Smith, and that's 2-1 to Arsenal, their first home league win of the season, and they're enjoying every second.
Dutch goalkeeper Hans Segers presented United with a goal after 23 minutes. His goal kick straight to Mark Hughes, who found the power in his right foot that Segers had lacked. Delight for United's travelling band. And indeed they played the more measured football, particularly in the first half. Hughes was in exceptionally bright form, and only this great tackle by Eric Young prevented him from adding a second. John Fashanu was missing injured for Wimbledon. He was badly missed, so it was a surprise when Manchester United conceded the equaliser 14 minutes from time. Into the Fashanu role, little Dennis Wise. Although Vinnie Jones seemed to believe he'd score. But Wise was given the goal. And Wimbledon could have won it. In injury time, Brian Robson, of all people, caught out. Alan Cork away. But Jim Leighton, who was only pass fit just before the kickoff, saved the point in a match Manchester United should have won. And Devonshire slips it through, and Dickens scores at the second attempt. No wonder Besant was furious with those who were supposed to be defending in front of him. And now West Ham could relax and really turn on the style. And for the 19-year-old Slater, another involvement in West Ham's second goal, 8 minutes from time. Seemingly losing his way, getting some help from Dickens. Is this a foul by Besant on Slater? The referee thought so. It's a penalty. And this is where the Hammers really appreciated the return of Stewart, the best in the business from the spot. 2-0, as though he'd never been away. And Bernie Slaven sent Borough on their way to a third consecutive league victory from Gary Pallister's flick. Keeping football like this, Luton caught out by the pace of it all. And Les Seeley caught out by the pace of the shot from left-back Colin Cooper. 2-0, 2 minutes before half-time. Luton's only reply came 4 minutes from the end, when substitute Roy Wegerle was brought down. Middlesbrough conceding a penalty. Danny Wilson scored for Luton, but Middlesbrough stood firm to continue their progress. The penalty, 1-0 to Southampton 5 minutes before half-time. But from then on, the family day declined, with Sheffield Wednesday taking over. Gary Megson creating an equaliser for Imre Varadi 4 minutes later. And with Danny Wallace injured, Wednesday collected the points in the second half, with 20-year-old David Reeves scoring in the First Division for the first time. Varadi's cross, the unmarked Reeves making the most of his header. Southampton 1, Sheffield Wednesday.
Second half, Strachan round the back of the defence, and Mark Hughes with a good volley. That's 4 in 4 for him. United must have felt they had the game won. Norwich had other ideas. 2 in 5 minutes late on. A great strike from Mike Phelan, the skipper. A lot of sides would have settled for a draw at Old Trafford. Not Norwich in their present mood. They win the game and take all 3 points with Andy Townsend's first goal for the club. Norwich enjoying themselves hugely at the top. Now Liverpool at Nottingham Forest. Forest take the lead early in the second half with an untidy goal from Brian Rice. Liverpool snap back to equalise just a few moments later. Barnes with a good cross. Ray Houghton doing some fine work, and look for a neat finish from Ian Rush. His first league goal for Liverpool. Rush showing some of that old sharpness. But Forest strike back straight away. Great effort from Neil Webb.
The table, an own goal by Gary Pallister, Middlesbrough's England defender in this Tyne-Tees derby, the platform for Newcastle's first home league win of the season. Newcastle without a manager, but with their Brazilian striker Mirandinha at his very best. That made it 2-0, 6 minutes into the second half. This with 6 minutes left, an excellent solo goal by Mirandinha. Newcastle are moving up. 24 hours earlier at Luton, Arsenal's Alan Smith got his 13th goal of the season, a sweeping volley from Brian Marwood's centre. Smith scored in every league game so far. But in keeping with a difficult week for the big clubs, Arsenal couldn't sustain their first half lead. Kingsley Black curled an excellent free kick past John Lukic, 1-1. And on the same night, Tottenham Hotspur against Southampton marked the first anniversary of Terry Venables' appointment as manager at White Hart Lane. There seemed cause for celebration through a 16th-minute own goal by Ray Wallace, one of the 3 brothers in an understrength Southampton side. Tottenham, 1 place off the bottom then, deserved the lead. But 20 minutes from time, they were slow to close down Glenn Cockrell, whose volley, nevertheless, was very special. And when Paul Gascoigne was caught in possession here, it was Cockerell again who punished the error. 2-1 to Southampton. They move up to 5th.
McInally, a bit of space for Price to get in maybe. No, McInally's going his own way. Page. Good play. Bringing Price in again. That's a lovely cross coming in. Oh, a spectacular goal by Daly. A stupendous Aston Villa goal there by their number 7 as the ball is played in and shot on the turn and gloriously into the back of the net, that time by Platt, and there was nothing.
PSV Eindhoven's defence of the European Cup began in the most convincing fashion. This header from Wim Kieft, giving them an early lead against the 1987 champions FC Porto. The Dutch side can hardly have anticipated such a comfortable night, as their recent signing Jules Ellerman increased the lead 10 minutes before half-time. Then Janssen and the influential Vandenberg set up Ronald Koeman, one of the stars of the European Championships, to make it 3-0. PSV, again leading the Dutch league, were clearly in majestic mood from Vandenberg's corner. Janssen eventually steered in the fourth early in the second half. And finally, aided by a deflection, Koeman reminded us again of his explosive shooting power to complete an astonishing 5-0 win. Standing defiantly between AC Milan and a quarter-final pacer, Red Star Belgrade. Outstanding work here from Dragan Stojkovic gave them a shock-away lead just after half-time. Within 60 seconds, Pietro Paolo Verdes had equalised, but the Italians, ruining a number of missed chances, face now a difficult task in Belgrade. This was the first of two unsavoury incidents in Yugoslavia this week that will surely prompt a UEFA inquiry. Roma's Giannini apparently fell by a missile and in an office set on fire in the stadium to mar Partizan Belgrade's 4-2 UEFA Cup win that included this goal from Milojevic. Roma have launched an official protest. You can't help wondering what kind of fuss there'd have been if the incidents had happened in this country. Or might Howard Kendall now be having second thoughts about staying with Athletic Bilbao? This goal from Altobelli, one of 5 they conceded to Juventus this week in the UEFA Cup. 5-1 the final score. This, the last goal for the Italian club, expertly finished by Michael Laudrup, his second of the game. In happier mood than Kendall will be another old Merseyside favourite, John Toshak, returning to his previous club, Sporting Lisbon. His current side, Real Sociedad, was soon celebrating a goal from Itorino. A foul by Laranaga on Mario Jorge earned Sporting Lisbon a disputed penalty. Despite a valiant effort from the goalkeeper, Cascavel makes it 1-1. Then in the second half, the winner for Sociedad, the header from Loren, an error of judgment, I think you could say, from the goalkeeper Damas. And finally, a chance to admire once more the talents of Jurgen Klinsmann, the West German Footballer of the Year, who joins Ron Atkinson's Atletico Madrid next season, again among the scorers with this superb individual effort for Stuttgart in their 3-1 away win over Dynamo Zagreb in the UEFA Cup.
Striker Robert Fleck has been in great form for Norwich this season. Tremendous goal from him just after half-time, his 7th of the season against Southampton. But the Saints are a confident side these days. I saw them take the points at Tottenham in the week, and they deserve the draw. Their goal coming midway through the second half. They've got 3 brothers in the side. Danny Wallace is the eldest, surrounded by defenders. Not much on that shot, but enough for the point. A stutter then for Norwich City, but they're still well clear.
Middlesbrough home to second place Millwall. Now last week Bernie Slaven got the quickest goal of the day, 4 minutes. Yesterday he made it in 3. They're at Liverpool next week. Bernie's entertaining thoughts of a 2-minute strike at Anfield. You've been warned, Kenny. Millwall defending the league's only unbeaten record, equalised through Teddy Sheringham, number 7 of the season for Teddy, who's poised to sign a new 4-year contract. Nine minutes later, Millwall took the lead. Tony Cascarino, the man to watch. Confidence is the hallmark of the striking art. Cascarino's got that in abundance at the moment. Whoosh. Just after half-time, Stuart Ripley equalised. A moment's fortune, but a touch of class. Peter Davenport was watching the match. He'll be joining Borough this week. Their revival must have impressed. Mark Burke shooting them in front. Well, Burke involved again. Middlesbrough leading 3-2. He was tripped by McCleary, so that's a penalty. And Millwall's record, the only unbeaten one left in the league, seriously threatened now. 4-2, and that was the final result.
Coventry City were defending an unbeaten away record at Highbury. Arsenal the top scorers in Division 1. Coventry might feel that Speedy was fouled there. No doubt, though, about Michael Thomas's spectacular finish. Well, the Arsenal skipper Tony Adams has had his critics this season, but they still love him at Highbury, and he likes nothing better than stealing forward and heading in front of the adoring North Bank. 2-0 to Arsenal, they're leading London's challenge.
On the other hand, Jim, Spurs, with only 2 points from the last 16 available, and with those deducted, went to Villa Park in bottom place. Terry Fenwick's 5th of the season wasn't uplifting, it was an own goal. Here's Paul Gascoigne, the £2 million man, to Chris Waddle, who's having such a sparkling season. But a reckless challenge by Nigel Spink, there was no need for that. A penalty, the chance for Terry Fenwick to make amends. His 4th successful penalty of the season. Aston Villa's first home win of the season came last week against Everton, and the man who set them on the way, Tony Daly, he got the winner. After Alan McInally's fine run, Daly making it 2, Spurs still rock bottom. And now Upton Park, and it's West Ham against Liverpool. Commentary here by Martin Tyler.
Rush, good effort, great play. Rush really is back in business. And West Ham rolling up their sleeves to try and make the maximum use of the time that remains. Got Burrows. And here's Beardsley, and that's 2-0, and that may well be the 3 points for Liverpool.
And it was. Here's Charlton at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Peter Shirtley, formerly of Wednesday, putting Charlton in front and beaten in 5. And now one of the finds of the season, Paul Williams. A little turn and a beautiful shot into the corner. 2-0 Charlton, his 8th of the season. Charlton hadn't won at home. Sheffield Wednesday unbeaten in 3. Got a consolation through David Hodgson, but it wasn't enough.
Newcastle are struggling, Forest are on a run, and Forest stealing the 3 points with some brilliant wing play from Gary Crosby. Tears apart the Newcastle defence, a tap-in for Lee Chapman, his first for Forest. They're unbeaten 11. We're at the City Ground next week. Dean Saunders, Derby, the lowest scorers in the First Division. Didn't take Saunders long to rectify that. He says this one was a fluke, no doubting the speed of his reflexes. Wimbledon coming back before half-time with a typical equaliser. Peter Shilton in a fair amount of trouble here under pressure from the veteran Cork. Back in from Fairweather, Vinnie Jones' shaven head is there first. El Sage put Derby 2 up, and then a tremendous piece of skill again from Dean Saunders. Unusually, Roger Joseph is caught in possession, but look at Saunders here. No wonder Oxford fans are in mourning, and Derby are saying welcome Dino. Derby then turning on the style. Towards the end, Ted McMinn arrogant on the ball. The substitute, Gary Micklewhite, is in 4-1 to Derby. Their manager, Arthur Cox, says Saunders will be the new Keegan.
Had to put Coventry ahead. But the debut boy, Gary Charles, away here, and Colin Foster dragging it back Forest's way. They'd have to equalise twice. Bringing down Cyril Regis wasn't a good idea, because Brian Kilcline seldom spurns invitations like this. In the second half, with a little help from Nigel Clough, Steve Hodge proved that his rehabilitation's coming on rather nicely. 2-2 then, but on 70 minutes, Clough made certain that no one from his city would be sent to Coventry just yet. 3-2 to Forest. Well, Leicester City put the cat among the canaries at Filbert Street. The magnificent 7-man move had the First Division leaders chasing shadows. Eventually it was Mike Newell stabbing them through the heart. Well, Norwich were still alive just until Andy Mocklin wriggled his way through for Paul Reed to make it 2-0 near the end. First Division leaders, well, the bigger they come. battle has been won because of a surprise attack catching the opposition on the hop. I wonder if Neil Ruddock's ancestors were military men. Well, he certainly stung Aston Villa into better things. David Platt showed aggression, winning this ball and clearing the way for Alan McInally. With Aston Villa level, we had a promising contest on our hands. And McInally decided it would be a one-man show. Look at this for a turn of speed from a big man, 70 yards out, and a goal apparently out of the question. But he rode 3 tackles and his luck on his way to giving Aston Villa the lead. Millwall just couldn't believe it. Once David Platt beat the offside trap, side-footing home Aston Villa's third. It used to be Andy Lockhead, Peter Withe and Andy Gray who thrilled Villa Park. Now Alan McInally has earned the right to be mentioned in the same breath, and that to the... And had the cutting edge, Danny Wilson there, bending in a 20-yarder for the first. And in the second half, David Oldfield, the Aussie, with the England under-21 cap, scored a straightforward second. The game finished in uproar.
But when the corner ensued, there was nothing he could do about Jimmy Casey's scorcher. Entered Scarborough's pride with a second goal. But 2 minutes before half-time, another Thompson throw caught Burridge on the hop, and Steve Norris put it in. Southampton's defence is prized open, and Mitch Cook delivers the perfect finish to earn a lucrative replay at the Dell on November the 22nd.
Just wide. Corner kick to Rangers, taken by Mark Walters. Dundee trying to clear the lines, but Kevin Drinkle with the header. Drinkle making his comeback in this game after injury, and Rangers, almost the second Rangers goal. Here's Mark Walters again wide to the left. Cutting inside Billy Kirkwood, a chip by Walters. 2-0 here by Robert Connor. John Hewitt's header, Willie Miller the captain. Aberdeen are in the lead. They managed a point in the first match of the season, trying to battle back here. Ray Farningham's header, and that ties it. An equaliser for Mother. Billy Davis and Ian Cameron, the two players over the ball. Billy Davis with a kick, and St Mirren have scored. In terms of personnel, Mark McWalter again surging down the right side. Paul Chalmers waiting in the middle. 2-0.
Bottom club Spurs were at home to Derby, hoping to end a losing sequence of 3 games on the trot. Chris Waddle, who's recently signed a new long-term contract, setting up Paul Stewart, his first for Spurs since moving from Manchester City for over £1.5 million. Awirma's son, Gazza delighted. El, it's only a matter of time, Tell, somewhat relieved. But Derby, who hadn't won away, indeed with only 1 league goal away from home, struck back through the Tin Man, Ted McMinn, formerly of Rangers. Spurs goalkeeper Bobby Mims hardly convincing at the near post. Into the second half, it's McMinn again with a sort of John Barnes type run. Nothing Mims could really do about that. Derby leading 2-1. To round off a thoroughly satisfactory afternoon, Goddard's flick, Dean Saunders, his 3rd goal in 2 games since joining Derby from Oxford. Derby's first away win.
At Old Trafford, a sad sight, a recurrence of Colin Gibson's knee injury, ironically against his old club Aston Villa. 3 minutes before half-time, Steve Bruce with a thumping header from Gordon Strachan's corner, but no celebrations for the 2nd anniversary of Alex Ferguson's appointment as manager. United lost the lead for the 5th league match in a row. Alan McInally is in irresistible form for Villa, another storming run. And Gordon Cowan's arriving at the far post for his first goal since his return from Italy. Another solid performance by the away day specialists, Aston Villa.
League leaders Norwich went to Wimbledon with a 100% away record, head guards, gum shields. Wimbledon, on their very best behaviour in view of the adverse publicity they've been getting recently, went behind in the first half. Dale Gordon's nice little cross, Andy Linnigan, 1-0. Then in the second half, Norwich ensured victory, stretching their lead to 7 points at the top when Malcolm Allen hit a beautifully controlled volley from the edge of the area. Allen's first for Norwich since joining them from Watford. Their away record now, played 5, won 5.
Millwall are still devastating at the Den. 3 goals in 6 minutes in the first half against Luton. Teddy Sheringham in excellent form once more. He grabbed the first, his 8th of the season. Luton swept aside now and pressured into conceding a penalty. The culprit, their Australian striker, David Oldfield. The victim, pint-sized Darren Morgan. The scorer, Kevin O'Callaghan, blasting past Les Seeley. Millwall still making merry here, and even left-back Ian Dawes getting in on the act. 3-0, and effectively the game over before half-time. Danny Wilson never accepts defeat easily, but his late goal for Luton, no more than a passing statistic.
At Loftus Road, it was the Trevor Francis show. Trev wasn't expected to play and passed himself fit only 2 hours before the kick-off. QPR had a new pitch installed during the summer. They did, honestly. No, they really did. Mind you, Trev can walk on water, mud, just about anything these days. His cross, that was unlucky, but Danny Maddox was well positioned to make it 1-0. Beautiful strike coming up here. This is Martin Allen. Right into the top. Well-taken goal on the volley. Here's Trevor Francis putting Mark Falco through. His 3rd goal of the season. QPR 3, Newcastle 0.
At Highfield Road, Coventry City against their bogey team, West Ham. Coventry 11 matches against the Hammers without a win, and sure enough, a goal down after 32 minutes. Alan Dickens against the post, David Kelly nipping in. For Coventry, Keith Thompson bought out his contract with the Spanish club Oviedo to return for a second spell at Highfield Road. Substitute Thompson obliged with the equaliser.
Southampton, 6th in Division 1 beforehand, are looking better than they have for years. 1 or 2 more Wallaces, and they might even have a championship-winning team. Danny created the first. He's the senior member of the dynasty. Graham Baker was the scorer. Charlton, unbeaten in their previous 6 league games, beginning to climb away from relegation a little early this season. They were always involved, although that was a good save. And it was as late as 82 minutes before Danny wrapped it all up. Ray and Rod had to settle for a back seat on the day.
On to Hillsborough, Sheffield Wednesday against Everton, and when Pat Vanden Hauwe was ruled to have impeded David Hodgson, a penalty, a chance for last week's man of the match to show his paces. Neville Southall saving superbly at the expense of former Evertonian Gary Megson. Everton, though, weren't so wasteful when Mark Proctor rudely interrupted Peter Reid's progress 11 minutes into the second half. Trevor Stevens' aim was true, and Everton had a platform for an important away win. But 8 minutes from the end, Sheffield Wednesday drew level through Mel Sterland, so often their inspiration. Ending Southall's resistance, Everton now with only 1 win in 8 games.
Liverpool had won only 1 league game at Anfield before Middlesbrough's visit. Ian Rush hadn't scored at all for the Kop resident since his return from Italy. Didn't look like he wanted to for a moment. That's more like it, Rushy. 1-0. Softest goal of the day came from John Aldridge, his 7th of the season and his first at Anfield too. It was the sheer power that confused the Middlesbrough defender on the line. Mind you, the 3rd was an absolute beauty. A virtuoso goal by Peter Beardsley, skipping through, perfectly balanced, and an inch-perfect finish. Liverpool have had a bad month, really. They're only 3rd.
The leaders, Norwich City, looked a very good side at Goodison Park and took the lead after 61 minutes. Dale Gordon, who's having such a good season down the right flank with the perfect cross, and Malcolm Allen with the header. Coming up now, one of the most controversial incidents of the weekend, involving a tackle here by Trevor Putney on Ian Snowden. No appeals from the Everton players, but referee John Penrose says that is a penalty. And looking at it again, I think Norwich are just going to have to content themselves that these things tend to even themselves out over a season. Trevor Steven, unruffled, a 1-1 draw. Norwich's 100% record has gone, but they're still unbeaten away from home.
The Christians might have fared better than Newcastle against these hungry Lions. The Geordies held out for 25 minutes before Alan McCleary blasted in number 1. Well, with Newcastle having lost 5 on the run, you could describe this as the day's home banker. Terry Hurlock's deflected shot for number 2. Tony Cascarino got his 10th of the season, the first of 2 particularly well-taken goals in the second half. Millwall's unbeaten home record was never threatened. The other went to Kevin O'Callaghan, who polished off Newcastle, who haven't even scored in 6 of their last 7 games. Millwall 4-0. Maybe Newcastle are saving it all up for the match next week.
Arsenal turned it on with their best home performance of the season. Paul Merson started the onslaught. He could save Arsenal a fortune this morning. They're reported to be prepared to pay £1 million for Leicester's Mike Newell. Here's number 2 for the 20-year-old Merson, in for the rebound off Pallister. And coming up now, the individual goal of the weekend, and surely one of the individual goals of the season. Just sit back and admire David Rocastle. 3-0 to Arsenal. No stopping Rocky or Arsenal at the moment.
At Old Trafford, Southampton's Graham Baker from 40 yards, but you don't beat Scotland's number 1 from there, Graham. Very often. Southampton 1-0, 6 minutes. New signing Mal Donaghy's free kick. Now, here's a good bit of refereeing. Play on after an obvious foul on Hughes. Captain Robson leading by example. It makes you wonder what United would do without him. Now, United took the lead. Brian McClare through for Mark Hughes. Now, surely goalkeeper John Burridge must arrive soon. John, what happened? Well, now United are really in trouble. You see, they've got this habit of squandering the lead. And proving there's only one Matthew Le Tissier, the Jersey-born player, with his 3rd in 2 games. United's 6th draw in 7.
Liverpool always enjoyed themselves on the plastic at Loftus Road. They did pretty well on the present ploughed field as well. Just 1 goal in it. It came midway through the first half. Ian Rush creating it. John Aldridge with his 8th of the season. Liverpool's 4th away win. Despite all their injuries, they're right in the hunt.
Aston Villa had won 5 on the run at home in all competitions. They went in front with a neat little header by Derek Mounfield, but that's all Derby allowed them. They've the best defensive record in the division. They hit back through Dean Saunders, inevitably 5 in 4 league games for Dino, and never on the losing side with Derby. Beautiful header. Well, 2 minutes later, Villa's Kevin Gage tried a Steve Bowl flick on. Not really the time or the place, Kevin. Paul Goddard's determination did the rest. Derby's 2nd away win.
West Ham have big problems, the worst defensive record in the 1st division, and their problems very apparent at Luton. Luton 1 up, Kingsley Black 18 minutes gone. 2 in 2 minutes, in fact, for the home team. And just look at the space given here for David Oldfield. They turned down $500,000 for him in the week, and Oldfield sets up a tap-in for Roy Wegerle. The game really over by half-time, and it's Oldfield again, the creator. West Ham just unable to get the ball away, and a thunderous finish from Kingsley Black. Some joy for West Ham, provided by Alvin Martin, now back in the side once again. But Luton doubling their home league tally with the 4th goal from the Irish international Danny Wilson. And once again, you just got to look at the West Ham defence and wince.
The big London derby, the only London derby, saw Wimbledon fall behind, totally confused by Charlton's long ball game. Robert Lee, the scorer, just after half-time. Fash the Bash wasn't expected to play. He hadn't scored for 7 games, but he was on the end of the move that provided Wimbledon with a point. Their 5th home league goal of the season, the worst record of its time.
Liège in Belgium marked not only a splendid away win, but also a landmark for the scorer of the only goal. Set up by Michael Laudrup, Sandro Altobelli's winner after 18 minutes was his 38th in Europe, a new Italian record. It was also a single goal that settled Napoli's away leg with Bordeaux. The French side, without Clive Allen, who's had appendicitis, Andrea Carnivale, the Italian league's leading goalscorer, struck the winner after only 5 minutes. Heading away performance from the unbeaten Italian league leaders Inter Milan against Bayern Munich, who currently head the Bundesliga. Albo Serena beating the offside trap to score the first goal here on the hour. A 70,000 full house at Munich then witnessed surely one of the goals of the season. Just watch the strength of this run from midfield man Nicola Berti. Berti, one of the new stars of the Italian national side, and clearly set to make a real name for himself in future years. In the last 2 rounds, Roma have trailed from the first leg. They do so again this time. Dynamo Dresden beating them in snowbound East Germany. The first goal resulting from a penalty awarded for this foul by Emilio Oddi on Ulf Kirsten. East German international Goetzkoff converts the kick. Then 9 minutes from the end, Oddi is again in trouble. Dispossessed by Kirsten, and Ralf Minga provides a decisive header to leave Roma facing a 2-goal deficit in the home leg.
Lopez scores to put San Martin ahead. Surprisingly, it's San Martin who begin to entertain the Buenos Aires crowd.
Gana San Martín 1-0 con un gol de penal. Picando al medio está Troitiño. Largo esto, vale. Atención que llega el 3, atención el 3 que le quiere pegar, vale, le pegó. ¡Gol!
Unali completes a fine move, and it's 2-0 to San Martin. Into the second half, and San Martin are still on the attack.
Casi ganando la posición, le pega a Navarro. Vidal que toca, pegó el palo.
Gonzalez scores their third.
Gol de San Martín, Vidal González otra vez.
With Boca Juniors now reduced to 9 men following the dismissal of Carrizo, there's plenty of open space on the pitch. Gonzalez takes advantage, 4-0. It's turning into acute embarrassment for the Buenos Aires side. Gonzalez completes a 17-minute hat trick, 5-0. Boca Juniors have a corner.
Acomoda para la zurda. Y va adentro Jaravina.
Perazzo forces home a consolation goal.
Se pone ahora 5-1, Perazo asegurando cortito, 5-1. Tocando, reteniendo con Troitiño.
But in the final minutes, San Martin complete the demolition.
Llegó el Moreno.
Unali scores his second goal. 6-1 to San Martin.
Well, Norwich got off to a flyer. They had a 2-point lead going into the match, and they scored after 2. Dale Gordon with an early warning to the Luton defence. The double lunge by Trevor Putney and Rob Johnson. The verdict, sorry Rob, own goal. Well, Norwich hadn't actually won at home for 5 weeks. Their Carrow Road jitters began to emerge again. Roy Wegerle, the former Chelsea player, equalising. Luton had only won 1 in 6 prior to the match. Norwich 1 in 4. It was Luton who struck next. Wegerle again, neat and tidy. Well, Norwich came storming back mainly through Dale Gordon and some penetrative runs, and he thoroughly deserved to get the equaliser, fed with a delightful little pass by Robert Fleck, and accomplished with a genuine touch of class. 2-2.
Now to the baseball ground, Arsenal taking the lead with a splendid goal created by David Rocastle. We saw him score in spectacular fashion on the match last week, and here he is setting it up for Michael Thomas. The Gunners a goal up in 59 minutes gone. Derby getting back into the game in slightly controversial fashion. Arsenal very unhappy about the award of the penalty. Dean Saunders with the ball in. When the ball gets headed back, a hand goes up. Lee Dixon says, "I didn't mean to do it." I feel that's a fair decision. Penalties still had to be converted. Lukic saves from McMinn. Callahan in on the rebound, and that's 1-1. Well, Derby really built up a furious head of steam at the end. Arsenal unbeaten in 7 league matches. This is Callahan teasing the Arsenal defence, and watch for a spectacular winner as the ball comes in. It's Phil G, reserve striker. Derby win it 2-1. Next week on the match, it's Arsenal against Liverpool.
Southampton 5th beforehand, Millwall 3rd. Now watch out for Graham Baker. Quick as a flash, and with a delicate finish. Baker after 10 minutes. He got one after 9 at Old Trafford last week. Well, Millwall invincible at home, and more than handy away. Kevin O'Callaghan nipped in to equalise, as last week O'Callaghan's control really impressive. Well, Millwall took the lead early in the second half. When Cascarino's not scoring, you can usually rely on Teddy Sheringham. Teddy obliged, number 9 of the season for him. So, 2-1 Millwall. Graham Baker started the move that brought about Southampton's equaliser. The play continued through Matthew Le Tissier, regular scorer in recent weeks. Creator yesterday. Graham Baker extending Southampton's unbeaten run in the league to 6.
Well, Liverpool really hate the sight of Wimbledon, but they bossed the game at Anfield. Whelan set up Houghton for a Liverpool goal after 64 minutes. It all looked very easy. But shades of the cup final, a set piece, chaos in front of the Liverpool goal. Would you believe that? Stevie Nicol with an own goal just 2 minutes from time. Liverpool won, Wimbledon won.
Five games without a win for Charlton, their squad decimated through injury, against a Forest side who were extremely difficult to beat on their travels. The winner from the Forest captain, the England fullback, Stuart Pearce. Bowler's positioning and stunned reaction suggested he was somewhat unsighted for that.
A goal too for England's other fullback, Mel Sterland, playing as a striker for Sheffield Wednesday, heading in after 34 minutes. A first win for Peter Eustace, Wednesday's first win at Ayresome Park since the war, but the Borough feel they were unlucky.
West Ham next to bottom, one home league win, on winning 10. Everton were hoping Tony Cottee would get his 100th league goal against his former club. He was certainly involved in the move that led to Trevor Stevens' winner, his 4th in 5 games, 3 of those penalties.
Coventry have never beaten Aston Villa in the First Division. Cyril Regis, with an early strike after 11 minutes, set them on their way. 15 minutes into the second half, a tap-in for Houchin, who got a goal at Spurs in the week as well. Villa 2 down, but they battled back, and a brilliant run from the speedy Tony Daly gave them some hope. Tap that one in, Alan McInally. 2-1 though, the result, and Coventry still right in the picture at the top of the table.
Well, QPR don't win all that many away from home, but a mistake there, enabling Spurs old boy Mark Falco to give them a great start at White Hart Lane. Spurs, of course, 4 without defeat and out of the bottom 3, but another mistake there, Guy Butters allowing Trevor Francis in at the far post to get his 7th of the season. But here comes the Spurs revival within a revival. Gaza, enough said. This is Vinny Samways, and the equaliser giving Spurs 8 points out of the last 12. Chris Waddle, another Newcastle old boy, and delightfully steered into the corner.
Towards Kelly, Martin trying to get in there as well. And a goal! It's Paul Ince! Players rushing towards McKnight's goal there. Henderson playing it again towards Steve Nicol, who's up there. Aldridge again looking to get in. And what's he given? He's given a penalty, I think, to Liverpool. Let's have a look at this. Well, that looked a perfectly good header to me, I must say. Well, Liverpool now with Aldridge. 2-1. Brady now to Kelly.
Rosinha's made a break through the middle. Too high for him, but not for Staunton. Oh, it's in there! An own goal by Steve Staunton. And it's going to be Gale who clips it. He's got it in there. 4-1.
At the Dell, Glenn Cockerell's deflected shot was the touch of luck for Southampton to tilt their tie away from Spurs. Cockerell, the scorer of both goals in Southampton's win in the league at White Hart Lane this season. 4 minutes later, Kevin Moore climbed above Guy Butters, and that effectively settled it. Tottenham's only reply, an own goal off the back of Russell Osman. Southampton go to Luton in the quarter-finals.
And Luton, the holders, went a goal behind at home to Manchester City when this cross was volleyed home by David White after only 9 minutes. 7 minutes later, Luton were level. A fine run and shot by Roy Wegley. Andy Dibble could only palm it out. David Oldfield following in to score. Wegley himself gave Luton the lead 6 minutes later, and what a good buy he's proved to be, just 75,000 from Chelsea. Wegley got his second to make it 5 goals in 3 games for the 21-year-old and give Luton a 3-1 win.
Bristol City are the only third division survivors, ending Tranmere Rovers' run. The 1 goal from Carl Shutt. Clearly still the cup tie specialist he was in his Sheffield Wednesday days.
In their third round replay at Oldham, Everton's Tony Cottee gave them the lead with just 6 minutes to go. Cottee struck again in the final minute. 2-0 for Everton, who'll now play Bradford.
Locks it in. Off goes Goff. David Robertson's clearance goes Goff.
So they are James Aberdeen's record.
Spain would be ended because of Atletico Madrid's poor results. So this goal by Atletico's Baltazar against Real Sociedad was a relief to Ron. The Brazilian, leading scorer in the Spanish league, got a second against John Toshak's Sociedad, then scored a hat-trick in a 6-2 thrashing of Betis in midweek. Ron's Atletico have moved up to 4th place. What's Spanish for champagne?
Contract been extended till Christmas. Now AC Milan, Jim, like to play offside, but the little man caught the trap, and a lovely little goal, wasn't it?
He headed it this time as well, so he actually did head that one. Well done, Maradona.
Now, here's a cracking goal. It's Glentoran against Linfield, the Road Ferry Cup final on Wednesday night. There's 4 minutes to go, Jim. It's 1-1. Alan Patterson clears the ball. George Dunlop, Ireland goalkeeper at the other end, and it's in the net.
Spade work. McInally's second effort was as elusive as a bar of soap to Forrest in the Ipswich goal. Well, all was quiet on the West Midlands front until David Platt became energised in the second half. His first goal was embarrassingly easy. By contrast, the second was quite glorious. The third was entirely self-made. And his fourth was achieved with a little help from Mountfield. All of that in 18 minutes. Well, it was only when they were 6-0 down that Ipswich found any resistance. Stockwell reducing the margin. And then Atkinson curled in a beauty, but it was all academic. 16 goals for Villa in 3 rounds.
On one of their best days of the season. Kevin Gage, 21 minutes gone, and that's a fine opening goal. Norwich say they prefer playing away from home, 5 wins and a draw. Gage can't get the ball away here, and Trevor Putney, who's got 1 or 2 vital goals, squeezes the equaliser past Nigel Spink. Norwich, though, really overrun in the second half. Villa played some great stuff. Alan McInally through and clear here. Brian Gunn out. Thought he got the ball. The referee didn't. It's a harsh penalty against Norwich, but Gunn saves well from Platt. No keeping Villa at bay, though. And the goal scorer, number 11, Putney, the villain of the piece for Norwich, a little slip. Andy Gray onto it like a flash. He provides so many things for Villa, does Gray. And Platt atones for that penalty miss. Villa now developing into a good attacking side. Kevin Gage sweeps in his second and Villa's third. Villa's best home performance of the season. Norwich's unbeaten away record has gone.
This East End derby was a home banker, if ever there was one. I know, you've heard it all before. Millwall third and unbeaten at the Den, West Ham next to bottom. But when Ian Dawes' back pass was intercepted by Alan Dickens, Paul Ince picked up his 4th goal in 4 games in front of Millwall's biggest crowd for 12 years. The West Ham revival continues.
Southampton are one of the in-form sides at the moment, unbeaten in 10 matches. The Wallace brothers have got a lot to do with that. This is Rodney Wallace with a splendid cross, and Neil Maddison, a teenager in his first full league game, heads the Saints in front. Wimbledon haven't won in the league since early October, and they came back just 3 minutes later. Vinnie Jones with a free kick, another set piece. Burridge can't get the ball away, and Terry Gibson, lethal in that sort of situation, equalises. Well, right at the end, Southampton paid for a series of missed chances. Shades of the cup final here, another set piece. This time it's Wise, and Carlton Fairweather heads in the winner. Wimbledon really needed the points, their first win in 7 games.
Spurs, 4 league games without defeat. Now, one of the debatable issues of the weekend here, Ian Snowden's pass. Now, Tony Cottee looked well and truly offside until you noticed Terry Fenwick playing him on. A slight delay, but as soon as Cottie's predatory instincts returned, well, that was pure greedy, wasn't it? His 100th league goal.
Manchester United were chasing their first win in 10 matches. Ralph Milne got his first goal thanks to a deflection against his old club. United relaxed and much more confident. Remember Brian McClare's miss on the match last week at Newcastle? He can head them in, you know. And coming up now, one of the goals of the weekend from United's outstanding player, Mark Hughes. Look at that. Control and into the net. 3-0 to United, their best league win of the season.
Middlesbrough have the worst away record in the First Division. They'd lost their previous 2, and with only 1 goal in 4 games, they were probably more surprised